Morning, bitches. Good morning.
Morning, bitches.
It is Thursday.
Yeah, this week has been flying.
Kind of has, right? It's about time.
Yeah.
It is about damn time. So we are back for our second day discussing Todd Browning's Freaks. 1932? 32 black and white film about the lives of sideshow performers. We talked quite a bit on Tuesday about sort of our responses to this film and how we both kind of walked away from it with a little more than I think we expected.
Yeah.
To this day, it is still the only, I don't know if we confirmed it was the only American film or just only film with a majority cast of disabled and differently abled actors and performers, which is insane and incredible. But yeah, we did a little bit more research this week, and I don't know if you had findings you wanted to report.
I guess I didn't realize that Todd Browning had directed Dracula before.
Right? Which we did not mention the other day.
Which is how he ended up getting the green light from Universal to spend actually quite a lot of money making Freaks.
Right.
Yeah.
So he had sort of he had a hit.
Because horror movies were still pretty new as a concept, as a genre. And he had promised that this would be also a horror movie. So we said last week that there had been a big cut made after initial screenings. They removed 30 minutes of footage. So apparently that includes, there's additional things that sort of humanize the performers. So like there's this incredible bit, which I don't know if we talked about last week, where there's a guy who, I've forgotten his name already, Prince something. His performer name is Prince something. He is a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any limbs. And there's a moment in the film where he takes a cigarette out of her packet and lights it.
Yeah, he opens a box of matches, lights the match, and lights the cigarette.
Just exclusively using his mouth. And it's incredible. Apparently the original film included him rolling the cigarette. Yeah. Which is, I would like to see that.
Yeah. And there are moments throughout the film that kind of show the performers doing things like that, but doing them in very kind of unglamorous, non-performative ways.
Yeah, and I think so there was a lot of that. There's additional footage of that taken out, but apparently the other thing that was cut quite a lot was there was more footage of them attacking Cleopatra and Hercules, which is the trapeze artist and the strongman. Because you don't really see what happens to Hercules. He just kind of gets dragged off, right?
Yeah. I thought, he does.
So there's this whole scene near the end where they're in the caravan going to the next town and it's raining, and they use the movement of the caravans to mask them attacking. Although I don't know who they're masking it from, but that's how they ambush the two people. So various caravans fall over and everyone gets muddy, and there's a lot of creeping around in the dark.
Those scenes, I think we talked about it a little bit the other day, but those scenes are amazing. The way they're shot, the angles, there's some flashing lights from the lightning. It's really well done, and you can see Todd Browning as a horror director knew what he was doing in those scenes.
Yes, that's just the closest it gets to an actual horror movie. But I guess in the original cut, you saw much more of that attack and how she ends up being the Duck Lady at the end. Because in the version that's available, and all of that footage that was cut out is lost. In the version that is available, you see them all sort of grab them and then it just cuts to she's a duck lady.
Mhm.
And like we were saying last week, you don't see very much of her, and it's quite confusing. Exactly, they've obviously turned her into one of them.
Yes,
but
the great irony of the film.
Yeah, but you can't really get a grasp of what they've done.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a different epilogue as well.
Yeah. And we haven't talked yet about like the big one of us scene, which is kind of like what the movie is known for. And a lot of times I think when people reference it, it tends to come off as like a menacing moment.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, it isn't, it's not. It is to Cleopatra. She finds it kind of menacing and threatening and disgusting, but what is actually happening, it's like the wedding party after she marries Hans, and they are accepting her into their family.
It's a toast.
Yeah, there's a toast, and they're all like passing a cup around and like welcoming her to be one of them, and it's exciting for them, and they're like, they want to have her in their family, and they want to bring her in, and she finds it repulsive.
Yeah,
and that is what like sets everything else in motion.
Yeah, so it's very famous, this like all of these people chanting one of us, and I guess having not seen the film, I did know about that bit, and I think I thought that happens, and then they like mutilate her or something.
Right, yeah, which I think
is not what it is.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, but you know of the movie and you know of that part, that's the connection you would make.
Yeah.
But that is really not what that scene is about, and if anything, it reveals Cleopatra's character, to be what she is. She's kind of hiding it through the whole movie that she's, this terrible,
she's the real monster
person. She is the real monster. And yeah, and shows, kind of puts everybody in their place in a sense, where the freaks and the performers are willing to open up their family and their sort of circle to other people who aren't like them, but want to bring them in. So, and she is obviously terrified of it and drunk and takes it very, very badly, and has a whole scene. But
yeah, and we talked a little bit last week about how a lot of the horror that they were trying to sort of access in this film was based around the other, and that these people are intrinsically horrifying just because they don't look like the rest of us,
mm-hmm.
which obviously reads very differently in 2020.
Yeah.
But apparently that was not off the mark in terms of how people thought at the time,
right.
And that the performers actually had a really tough time on the Universal lot, because the other performers in other films, they have like eating areas,
right.
common areas for performers. They were all horrified that these people were there, and in the end, they ended up like erecting a tent just for the freaks performers,
mm-hmm.
so that the other people didn't have to look at them.
Yeah,
which is grotesque, but it is. I mean, apparently F. Scott Fitzgerald was there writing a film, and he walked in, looked at them, and went and vomited. Delicate little flower.
Yeah, honestly.
Which is really, really, really sad.
Mm-hmm.
But that is unfortunately how the world was. And, I'm sure still is in some areas, but I'd like to think we're a little bit more illuminated.
Yeah. And we, in our research, had also learned that Todd Browning was a vaudeville and sideshow performer. So
mm-hmm.
he did kind of have an insight into this world that not very many people did. And, I think that's part of why he wanted to portray it, because he could have gone in a very different direction with this movie. It could have been, I mean, in a sense, it is still kind of exploitative, but it could have been so much more than it is. You know,
I think
it's-
also that's how he was able to find such good performers
Mhm.
because he apparently spent a month going around to the shows that were still touring and recruiting people
Mhm.
rather than just putting like an open call out.
Right, or just putting able-bodied actors in costumes.
Yes, and that's
you know,
actually what the studio had wanted in the first place, was just like prosthetics or whatever.
yeah,
Which for 1932 would have looked
would have
not good.
Yeah, I mean,
And also just would have ripped the heart out of the film. It would 100% have been a like really schlocky horror movie then.
yeah,
Because it was going to be a vehicle for, I forget the actor's name, but somebody who worked with him in Dracula, but then that guy passed away. So the world of film had a lucky escape from a prosthetic written version of this.
yeah, right. So, so when we approached this to work on the song,
Yes, if anybody is new to this,
Yes.
we have been writing a song about every film that we've talked about. Just wanted to throw that in there in case you're coming at this halfway through the process. I also wanted to just take a moment to be one of those people that says, if you're watching this on YouTube, could you take a second to subscribe to us?
Sure,
Because
why not?
we're at 55 subscribers, which is pretty good for us. But, the world of YouTube is not enormous. If we make it to 100, we can actually get like a basic bitches URL rather than a random stream of letters and numbers.
Yeah,
which
should
would
be
be
pretty
nice,
cool. That'd be nice.
honestly.
Yeah.
So 45 of you want to click that subscribe link. My brother has a friend whose little daughter, I think she was about 4, got really into watching YouTube and then wanted a channel of her own. So they set up like a private channel so she could make videos, but only they would watch it. I've seen a couple of them. They're incredible. It's like this 3-year-old, but doing an impression of a YouTuber, just being like, "Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about playing dressing up." It's really good.
It is cute.
But she'd seen all these people go like, "Don't forget to click subscribe," and they all point. And where they point to in her house is where the hallway is. So what her little brain did was spatially place where subscribe is. So at the end of her video, she goes, "Don't forget to subscribe in the hallway."
Yeah, click in the hallway. Cute.
Which is incredible. So don't forget to click in the hallway for us. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. But I was just, sort of saying when in the process of trying to write a song about this movie, we actually, we procrastinated. A.
We did.
And B, it was kind of a difficult song to pull together, because we wanted to come at it from an angle that, like a lot of these songs that we've been writing, expresses the sentiment, what we feel like is kind of the core sentiment of the film, but also kind of the sound of the song is a reference to the feel of the movie. But this song was kind of hard because we're like, well, what does this movie sound like? So we come up with something that I think is really cool. And in writing lyrics for the song, I think we kind of are coming at it from the perspective of the performers and of their sense of family and their sense of community and trying to protect that, while having been exposed to kind of the terribleness of the world and creating their own family. They're also sort of, their chosen families are also kind of isolating themselves from what could be so much worse. They're protecting each other and kind of building up a wall around each other.
Yeah, and as a consequence, they have a pretty strong code of conduct.
Yeah.
Which is, shown in this film.
Right.
If you cross it, they are going to have to deal with you.
Yeah.
If you hurt one of them, you hurt all of them, is basically the idea.
Right. And that's, I think that's a relatable sentiment to people, and that's something that we came away from this movie with, is very much like, you're building your own family. And if someone, yeah, you hurt one of them, you hurt all of them. And I think that's something that we can kind of all relate to, and this film does that. It in the 30s, it kind of made people have to relate to or see these people as humans with human characteristics, which, you know, is crazy that it's such a radical idea in the 30s. And, you know, unfortunately, in some ways, it is a radical idea today, too. And, you know, that was an important reminder, I think, for all of us. And it was so that's kind of what we were trying to go for in this song. So
let's give it a go. If you would like to join us next week on Tuesday, we will be talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the final two,
we're
aren't
in
we?
the final two, attempting to write a song about a musical.
I'm excited.
I don't know what that's going to look like.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so next week, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and the week after, Spinal Tap.
Final film of the series, everybody.
Yeah, so I guess we'll be doing Spinal Tap on Thanksgiving.
Oh, amazing.
Right?
I hope everyone's drunk.
Am I doing math right? I think so.
I think that's probably right.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday
is
is
the 19th.
The Thursday after.
Yeah.
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 Well, there you have it. Okay, then.
All right. Ready?
What makes you so different from me? You think we're just something to see. This freak show is our family. Step right up, come see what we're made of. You'll get what you paid for. So many cheers, so many cheers, so many towns. It's hard to remember where your friends are. We know we can trust. Your lies won't save you from us. When all this settles to dust, you know you can never be one of us. Never be one of us. Removed from the hate and the greed, our lives are much more than they seem. Protecting our community, don't cross us. You'll see what we're made of. You'll get what you paid for. All of the fears, all of the tears, all of the towns. It's hard to remember where your friends are. We know we can trust. Your lies won't save you from us. When all this settles to dust, you know you can never be one of us. Never be one of us. One of us.
There you have it. All right.
All right. See you Tuesday.